All right, let's get into it. You know, as a pond expert, I've seen pretty much everything. I've gone through thousands of questions from pond owners, people just like you, and you start to see a pattern. The same few problems pop up over and over again. So today, think of me as your pond doctor. We're going to run a little triage, diagnose the top 3 most common issues, and I'll give you the exact prescription to get your pond healthy and beautiful again.
Yeah, does that sound familiar at all? I mean, for you, maybe it wasn't a toad apocalypse. Maybe it was just a ton of leaves in the fall or a crazy heat wave that came out of nowhere. But whatever the reason, the result is always the same, right? It's just frustration. You look out at your pond, this thing that's supposed to be your peaceful little oasis, and all you can see is this big, green, murky problem. Well, that's exactly where we're going to start. Okay, so before we jump the gun and start throwing products at the problem, we have to put on our detective hats. Seriously. See, a healthy pond, it's a balanced ecosystem. And when something goes wrong, it's not the problem itself. It's a symptom of a deeper imbalance. So, our job today is to follow the clues, ask the right questions, and really dig down to the root cause. So, let's get started.
All right, case number 1, the green water mystery. And let me tell you, this is by far the most common case file we get. It's the number 1 complaint. But here's the absolute key to solving it. Not all green is the same. The kind of green stuff you have growing in your pond is telling a very specific story about what's going on under the surface. So I want you to do something for me. Picture your pond right now. Or hey, even better, pause this and go take a look. What do you actually see? Is the water just murky green, kind of like pea soup? Or are there actual threads, mats of green stuff floating around? If you were to reach in, carefully, and grab some, what would it feel like? Slimy? Coarse? Your answer here is our first big clue. Okay, so here are the 2 usual suspects. If your water looks like that murky pea soup we talked about, that's planktonic algae. It's made of millions of tiny, single-celled organisms just floating in the water. But if you're seeing those long strands or mats you can actually grab, that's filamentous algae. Most people just call it string algae. And hey, a quick but really important warning, if what you see is a bright kind of paint-like or scummy film on the surface, that could be blue-green algae, which can be toxic. Definitely keep your pets and kids away from that.
So, no matter which type of algae you have, the bloom itself is just a symptom, and it's almost always fueled by one of these 3 culprits. See, algae needs food to grow, just like anything else, and its favorite meal is a cocktail of nitrates and phosphates. Where does that come from? Well, fish waste, leftover fish food, decaying leaves, it all breaks down into algae superfood. So if your filter can't keep up or your pond just gets blasted by the sun all day, congratulations, you've basically built a 5-star all-inclusive resort for algae. So what's the first step? The most crucial first step? You've got to test your water. It's simple. You can't solve what you can't measure. Grab a simple test kit and check your phosphate levels. This is your magic number right here. You want to see that number below 0.25 parts per million. If it's higher than that, and it probably is, you've found a huge piece of the puzzle. You've got to get those phosphates down with a remover before anything else you do is really going to work.
Okay, moving on to case number 2, the muck and sludge problem. And you'll see how this is all connected. We're talking about that gross, black, goopy layer of gunk that builds up at the bottom of the pond. We call it muck, we call it sludge, and trust me, it's way more than just ugly. It's a silent threat to the health of your entire pond.
So what is this stuff, really? Well, it's pretty simple. It's everything that sinks to the bottom and starts to rot. All the fallen leaves, the fish food they didn't eat, fish waste, and yep, all that dead algae from the green water problem we just talked about. It all settles down there and basically turns into a compost pile in the worst possible place. It becomes a non-stop nutrient factory, just churning out food for the next algae bloom. So how do we get rid of it? Here's the plan. And listen, if you've got a thick layer of this stuff, say more than an inch or so, just dumping in a product is going to take forever. It could take seasons. So the single most effective thing you can do is, step 1, get it out manually. I know, it's not fun, but you gotta roll up your sleeves, grab a net or a pond vac, and physically remove as much as you can. Then you bring in the backup, those beneficial bacteria products, the organic digesters. You follow that up with regular water changes, and that's your game plan. Okay, this is a question I get all the time. Should I use an organic digester or a sludge remover? People get confused, but it's actually really simple. Let me clear it up. If your main problem is just cloudy, dirty water, like particles floating all through it, you want an organic digester. It works in the water column. But if you have that distinct, settled layer of gunk on the bottom, you need a targeted sludge remover, something in a powder or tab form that sinks right down to the bottom and goes to work on the muck itself.
And that brings us to our third and honestly most important case, keeping your fish safe. Because let's be real, for most of us, the fish are why we have the pond in the first place, right? They're the heart of the whole thing. And that green water, that muck on the bottom, those aren't just ugly inconveniences. They're direct threats to the lives of your fish. So how exactly does bad water hurt them? Well, that muck we were just talking about, as it rots, it uses up a massive amount of oxygen from the water. Oxygen your fish need to breathe. It's literally suffocating them. On top of that, it's a perfect breeding ground for nasty bacteria and other pathogens. And the whole time, it's leaking toxic ammonia and nitrites into the water. All of this puts your fish under constant stress, which just demolishes their immune systems and leaves them wide open to getting sick.
Okay, I need everyone to listen to this next part. This might be the single most important and most misunderstood thing in all of pond keeping. That gallon rating on your filter box, that's for a pond with just water. No fish. The second you put fish in there, they start producing waste. We call that the bioload, and it completely changes the math on what your filter can actually handle.
And here is the cold, hard reality check. Take a look at this. That basic waterfall filter that says it's good for 2,000 gallons. Once you add a few fish, it's really only good for maybe 250 gallons. That 6,000-gallon box filter? Try 500 gallons, tops. It's a huge reason so many people struggle. They don't even realize their system is massively underfiltered from day one. You have to size your filter for your fish, not your gallons, which often means you need a filter rated for way, way more than the actual size of your pond.
And one last super important tip about your filter. Please, whatever you do not overclean it. All the good bacteria that keep your pond healthy live inside that filter media. If you take it out and scrub it spotless, or worse, rinse it with tap water from the hose, which has chlorine in it, you've just committed mass murder on your tiny ecosystem helpers. You've completely reset your cycle. The right way to do it is to take some pond water out in a bucket, give the media a gentle swish in that water just to knock the big gunk off and put it right back in.
So, we've done the diagnosis, we've identified the culprits, and we've talked about the immediate treatments. But now for the really important part, the prescription. This is how we get you to a place where your pond is balanced for the long haul. The goal here is to stop putting out fires all the time and start being proactive. And it really boils down to these 5 golden rules. Think of this as your long-term health plan. Number 1, do those regular 25% water changes to keep things fresh. 2, test your water. Don't guess, know what's going on. 3, and we've hammered this one home, size your filter for your fish. 4, add an aerator. More oxygen is always a good thing. And finally, number 5, if things are looking off, cut back on the fish food. It's the easiest way to reduce waste. So I'm going to leave you with this one question to think about. Is your pond just a water feature you have in your yard? Or is it a living, breathing ecosystem? Because once you make that mental shift, once you see yourself as the caretaker of this tiny little world, everything changes. Taking care of it stops feeling like a chore, and you'll spend a lot less time fighting problems, and a whole lot more time just sitting back and enjoying the beautiful little slice of nature you've created.